Hello everyone, welcome back to, yes, another LLC walkthrough. This one, of course, for the state of New York, and we are going to do this similarly in kind of a step-by-step fashion. We're going to try to do this one in 6 steps as well. So kind of regardless of the state you're doing it in, I know this one is for New York, but whichever state you're doing it in, it can seem fairly intimidating to try and form an LLC because, yes, there is a good amount of things to kind of remember to do right. And just kind of forgetting or messing one of these up or not doing your proper checks can throw things, off balance. Whether it's setting up your operating agreement wrong or kind of not knowing what to say in it, whether it's, not understanding the purpose of a registered agent, kind of plenty of places to go wrong. But that's what today's video is for. That's why I'm here. That's why we've done kind of these LLC formation videos, is again to just go kind of step by step for you for most states, so you can see this, whether you want to do it for New York or Wyoming or Nevada or whatever state you fall upon. Kind of, again, a lot of stuff in these videos can apply to other states as well. Again, the process is very similar. So let's get into the 6 steps, kind of just starting with the first one, of course, very important one. Determining your business type. I know, kind of crazy that actually determining if an LLC is right for you and kind of what you want is first on this list. But likely if you're watching this video, then you're kind of already aware of what an LLC is, that an LLC is in fact what you want, but it is kind of important to note that there are some other options out there like sole proprietorships, S corporations, kind of more, of course, accompanied with their own other processes for each one in kind of certain states. But of course, the first step is just being sure that an LLC is in fact what you want. You've done your homework on all the other options. It just seems like it should go without being said, but that is in fact the first one I'm saying. Now, step number 2 is naming your LLC. So in New York, and of course a lot of these other states that we've done walkthroughs for, you do kind of need to keep in mind for a couple different things when going through this process. You can't, of course, just pick the first name that comes to the top of your head. You got to do your checks. You got to do, meet certain criteria. You just want to be sure that your name that you pick checks out. Basically, it needs to be a business name that is not already first and foremost used in the state of New York. So that means, you can't try to start a coffee brand called Starbucks because, well, there's already a coffee brand that does that in the state of New York. And the easiest way to kind of be sure if you're safe, I guess I should call it, or not, is every state will have their website where you can search business entities by name to see if a name is taken or not. So here we are, kind of at the Department of State for New York. Again, this is kind of where you're going to search for business entity. This is just a database that you can go and see, if a name is taken or anything similar by you. You can search by different types, entity type, entity name. You can kind of filter that, corporation, LLC, all that stuff. So again, if I type in Starbucks and I search the database. So again, if I type in Starbucks and I hit LLC and I try searching the database, of course, there's already an LLC in here. So let's say I want to try a, different type of coffee brand called Big Delicious Coffee. And I try, just kind of, sorry, let me go back to the return search. I try just, typing it in here, Big Delicious Coffee, and I want to do it by LLC, of course. I search the database. No business entities were found, so you are likely, in the clear here. It's just kind of a good way to be sure the name that you're using is unique enough so you're not kind of running into the risk of being rejected. And this site is just kind of a good way to do that for every state. So that's just one way, of course, kind of helping you in naming your business. But I would also recommend going over to the U.S. Federal Trademark Search to use as a resource as well. This will just help you avoid things like potential lawsuits. If there's an incredibly similar business to yours, in name and brand and stuff like that, it really just could help you save a future headache. So to kind of just do this, again, we're over in the database here. You're going to try Starbucks again. Looks like it's already in here. I'm just going to search it, and you can filter on the left as well from live, dead, canceled, abandoned, all that stuff. So we're looking at live over here. Starbucks, live, Starbucks, Starbucks, Starbucks. You likely can't use Starbucks, but if I go back up here and I want to do, my Big Delicious Coffee brand, looks like we're pretty good. Big Delicious brand, Big Delicious, the Beanbag Cafe, stuff like that. So it looks like you're probably good. But again, this is just another database that would be good to kind of look at before you waste time and money just naming your business just to kind of fall under a trademark issue. So that was step number 2. Step number 3 is to find a registered agent. And of course, if you all kind of want some help with a registered agent or even kind of a start to finish assistance with the whole LLC process, we have partnered with Northwest Registered Agent. If you kind of want to utilize them as a resource, it will be linked below just to make sure it's done correctly, to save time and to utilize a great option as a registered agent. Anyways, you have a name. You will now also need a registered agent, which is basically someone who is at a physical location within the state during business hours to take mail and things like that, for potential lawsuits or kind of other business needs. You can use your house. Again, I use can very loosely like I have in all these other videos just because this is now going to be public knowledge, meaning when someone searches your LLC and your business and you want to use your house in place of this, they'll likely have access to your home address, which, can get dicey, or maybe you just kind of want that added separation of privacy. And you can't just use a PO box or a mailbox or anything like that. It has to be a physical location. Someone has to be there, to collect mail during business hours. So if you're like a lot of people, you will likely opt to pay a registered agent for this service. So on to step number 4. We are getting through these. This is creating and submitting articles of organization. This may differ per state, but it's fairly similar across all of them. But for New York, that you just kind of have to fill out forms with information on your company, kind of like I have listed here. But again, there are services that do all this for you, like Northwest Registered Agent. So you can opt to have them kind of help you with that too, so you're not, again, missing anything, wasting time, spending money, and you actually do it correctly. Step number 5 is creating an operating agreement. Again, likely can be done with the service that I've, mentioned a few times, but essentially it just kind of outlines who owns the company, what percentage of the company they own, outlines terms and kind of different scenarios and events, kind of especially helpful for really just who owns what part of the company, if there's like different sales or equity splits within. And it's not mandatory in most states, but it's still kind of highly recommended just for the added benefits and outline of operating terms for your new company. And you can do this, using a service, obviously, but there are like templates and stuff I'm sure you can find online. Just make sure that it's thorough, kind of says exactly what you want it to say. You could go to like a local lawyer and pay them to do it as well, but they'll likely just, again, find an online template and just kind of plug your info into it. Okay, 5 steps. Wow. On to number 6 is to get an EIN, or an employer identification number, 9-digit code provided by the IRS to recognize your LLC for taxation. Again, using a place like Northwest Registered Agent, they'll do this for you, kind of walk you through it, stuff like that. You can also apply on irs.gov, I believe. Very plainly speaking, this is the equivalent of a social security number for your LLC. And so those are the 6 steps, but kind of, of course, for this last part of the video, I wanted to walk you through kind of step by step and the features of how to get started a Northwest Registered Agent, whether you use them or someone else, just kind of the added benefit of using a service like this, whether it's for just the registered agent part of it or for the whole LLC formation part of it, just so you don't miss anything. It's worth the money to do it correctly. Of course, so here we are just kind of for the registered agent service. Looks about $125 a year. You're going to select your state. Of course, for this one, New York, you'll go. And it'll kind of take you to all this. So of course, your order, where do you want the service? Of course, we want New York. You can kind of, compliance, business identity, all that stuff. You can add features in there. But right now, just the registered agent service is $125. So you'll go through kind of your company name, Big Delicious Coffee, of course, contact info, you'll make an account. Business identity, they offer some free 90-day stuff, between like an email address, website, stuff like that. Again, optional items. They can file your annual report for you, mail forwarding, trademark service, and then, of course, a payment. And that's just the registered agent part of it. Northwest also offers the full kind of Start an LLC service. So we're over here on the Start an LLC. Of course, you'll select the state. We're going to scroll down to New York. Gosh, man. Okay, there we go. New York. And it'll kind of walk you through it, so file today with the help of a registered agent, kind of go through, percentage completed, business name, what you want to be called. And of course, it'll just kind of take you through everything that I just mentioned, LLC, registered agent, articles of organization, looks like publish in 2 newspapers, create an operating agreement, EIN. There's probably a few steps that I may have missed, especially for some certain states like New York or maybe other states. But again, that's why you use a service like this. It'll kind of make sure you're hitting them, or at least give you the options if some of these aren't mandatory or whatever, or you just kind of want to skip. At least you know it's there. They'll walk you through it kind of all in one compiled place. You'll pay the fee and you'll be done with it. And that's really it, 6-ish steps, give or take. Just kind of using a resource like the one I just walked through, or just kind of on your own doing it with different sites and stuff. There are things out there to kind of help you, especially with certain states through this process. I hope this video at least was a resource for you, whether it went all the way through or maybe I missed a step or two, but at least there are services out there that will walk you through. You just pay a one-time fee, or you pay an ongoing fee if you want that registered agent service per year. But I hope this video was one of those resources. Take a look at some of the other states that we've done for LLC formation, and I will see you in the next video.